the story of the game was clearly Paul Skenes. And lining up against some of baseball's best in Jackson Holiday, Adley Rutschman, 1-2 hitters for Baltimore, Heston Kjerstad, another top prospect, rookie of the year candidate for the Orioles this coming year. But Cody, I'm gonna need you to stop. I'm gonna need you to stop, man. Just let it go. Just let it go. But no, Paul Skenes. So we were there bright and early, saw him warm up. I guess before we even get into the game, we got Tyler here. Tyler's the pitching coach.
Oh, boy, we got to throw it back to me again.
Tyler, what are you taking just from Paul Skenes' warm up, his getting ready for the game? I mean, you can tell he was kind of dialed in, ready to go.
Yeah, he's a very intense person. You can tell in general. We just saw that walking around Lee Com in general. He carries himself like he is the man, and we hope that he ends up being the man for this team. Everything he does to me just looks so effortless. You see him warming up. He isn't even really throwing with intent, and you can tell it's probably just 95, just warming up. He gets on the mound. We saw him flash 102 today. It's February 29th, guys. He threw 102 on February 29th. I know he only threw 10 pitches a day. 4 of them went over 100 miles an hour. I think we had 2 at 101, 1 at 100, and 1 at 102. He also threw in a 99 in there as well. The thing that stands out to me about him is just how effortless it looks when he's throwing 102. Like you see guys that throw that hard, but they're putting max effort into it. From the untrained eyeballs here, it doesn't look like he's even trying when he does it.
Effortless is a good word, I feel like, because you see a lot of pitchers who maybe throw really hard, and like a pitcher we saw yesterday. And this is not a knock on Jared Jones, right? But Jared Jones is like a high effort. Like you can tell like he's trying to throw the ball really hard, right? Paul Skenes, yeah, it's effortless. Like it's just a smooth, repeatable delivery that once it leaves his hand, it hits triple digits on the gun, and it doesn't even look like he broke a sweat.
No. And I want to bring this comment up because we had a comment on one of our videos today. The comment was, when was the last time the Pirates had a prospect or even a seasoned vet starting pitcher who threw 102? And let's just quickly answer that right now. Never. Right? We talked about that on the right here a little bit, kind of trying to think back, and it doesn't happen. This is the first time. And to Tyler's point, this is February. Like when we talked about Luis Ortiz and Roman Contreras and Quinn Priester, it was we're concerned about the velocity. How's that going to look this year? And now that it's spring training, you're comfortable with it because you expect it to probably gain like 1 or 2 miles per hour come April into May and such. It is February 29th. Granted, he was given the leap day. So, it would be March, I guess, technically most years. I get it, but it's still February today. And he was hitting 102 effortlessly in 10 pitches. When we had that Starbucks, right? And you said, like, who are you irrationally, like, excited about? And I said, really nobody. And then it was like a few days later, I put on Twitter and said, you know what? It's Paul Skenes. I'm there. I'm irrationally, I'm Paul Skenes is him.
And I think, this is almost like I don't even think you can be irrationally excited about Paul Skenes.
You could. He's the best pitcher ever, and I'm on board there.
Like the stuff that he possesses, it's impossible not to be excited about him. What we saw out of him today was great. I know it was the first time you two have been able to see him in person, but yeah, he's different, right? And I think the other thing too that a lot of people lose on a pitcher like Skenes is, he's thrown less than 10 professional innings, but from like a command standpoint too, he's like that's really what separates him. Like, yeah, like the fastball is one thing, but for someone who hasn't really honed his craft all that much, the command of his pitches, like he doesn't really miss that much. And when you're throwing that hard with that good of stuff and you're hitting your spots, that's when you can become really, really dangerous.
I'm really glad you mentioned that because I did want to bring that up. I don't know about the command in general because of where we were. It's hard to tell without a TV broadcast, but at least control-wise, he filled the zone up today. I know it's only 10 pitches, but he was in the zone for mostly all 10 of those pitches. The other thing we saw today was he flashed a little curveball.
And what I want to add to your point too about the command, it was also just 10 pitches. Right. So again, like when you're only given 10 pitches to work with and you hit 102, he looked really good. And we haven't even talked about the fact that he had all 3 outs. Like, yeah, Adley's was a little bit worrisome. It sounded pretty good off the bat, but it didn't go out. But I mean, he had 3 outs, 3 very competitive players. He did his job, 10 pitches, very efficient. Again, like, I don't know how, just in seeing the 10 pitches right now, how you don't get excited at the prospect of Paul Skenes right now.
Yeah, again, like, it's 10 pitches, so I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, it's impossible not to be excited about him. You don't want to read into it too much, but man, he looks good. I'm excited to see just like a full year out of him. Again, we had a question in here: is there a possible chance that Skenes pitches himself into starting in Pittsburgh this year? I don't think that's possible. We had Alex Stumpf on a couple weeks ago. He said just for just making sure that he can pitch on 5 days rest, right? He's never done that in his entire career. You don't want the first time for that to ever happen to be like in real Major League Baseball games. So I would put the chances of Skenes starting in Pittsburgh below 1%. Like, a lot would have to go wrong in terms of injuries and stuff for that to happen. But I would say, I'll say this: about a month ago, I was a little bit skeptical on if we'd even see Skenes this year. I don't think I'm skeptical on that anymore. Like, I think this team is relying on Paul Skenes being ready for the stretch run this season. Like, I think they are banking on him being available to use down the stretch.
Yeah, I don't think there's a question that we'll see him this year at this point. And I'm basing that off of 10 pitches today. So naturally, everything I say will be correct. But I really do think that sometime this summer, probably after June, we will see Paul Skenes in a Pirates uniform.
Just kind of going to what you said, his demeanor. I mean, he wants to pitch, I'm sure. Like, this isn't the guy who's probably afraid of MLB right now. He wants to be there. He's going to carry himself. And like, for all the things you talk about, Henry Davis, the intangibles, like, he's going to do the right things. He's going to make sure he's ready. He's probably harder himself than anyone else. This is me not knowing anything about Paul Skenes personally, but like, just seeing the way he carries himself and seeing like his path to here, like, I get that vibe from him also. So he's not going to shy away. Like, he wants to be in Pittsburgh, and seeing the talent that he presents, I'm with you guys also.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that not only the talent, but the makeup, right? And this goes back to the conversations that we were having about Ke'Bryan Hayes this time last year, right? Like, I'm going to bet on the talent. I'm going to bet on the makeup. I'm going to bet on the guy that he's going to figure it out, right? Skenes and Davis both really in that same mold. But I'll add another thing with Skenes, something that I've noticed this week, and no other starting pitcher does this that I took notice of. But Paul Skenes, every single spring training game, is in the dugout watching the game. He's hanging out with his catchers, with his coaches. He's in that dugout for at least the first 5 or 6 innings, and still until the starters get pulled. And then he leaves, with them. But that's something that the other guys don't do. That the other guys aren't hanging around in the dugout every single game. Paul Skenes is there asking questions, observing, getting better every single day, which, I mean, that's a testament to him.
Yeah, like it.
It's also a positive when your most talented pitcher has a demeanor like that, because that's a guy that these players are going to gravitate towards. Also, you mentioned him being in the dugout. I think every single game during spring training before it, he was in the outfield as well, shagging fly balls. The guy's just a baseball rat, you can tell.
Well, because he wants to hit.
That's true. Very true.
He's in the dugout because he wants to hit. He's shagging the fly balls because he wants to hit. I'm sorry, Paul, it's not going to happen because we saw you hit 102. Your ass is staying on that mound. But yeah, he wants to hit.
Right. I mean, it's like I said, it's a testament to him. It kind of just echoes the statement that we got when we had Coach Johnson on our show last summer. Just he's going to be the hardest working guy in that clubhouse, and so far he's attempting to do that.
Yeah, I am excited for Paul Skenes.